case of the
Can they sit down?
Oh, yes. Okay. This is a case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus John Brown. Defended by.
Just ask him what he please, Timmy.
What do you plead? Not guilty. The defense.
Well, they wanted to, did you guys want to call another? Okay.
Defense, call up your first witness.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mrs. Mary Ann Day Brown.
I'm Mary Ann Day Brown, a wife and mother.
Tell me about your history with John Brown.
Well, we were married in 1833, myself being 17, him being 30. We were both hard workers around the house, so we decided to have 13 kids, only 6 of them to survive to adulthood.
Was he violent towards your children?
No, and it harms me that people would think that.
Was he a fatherly figure?
Yes, he was. He was always there to support our children and even sent money when he was away.
Did you discuss his plans openly with you?
Yes, he would always send us letters, including what was happening with the Secret Six.
Was he dedicated to his plans and job?
Yes, but he always made sure to have time for his family.
Did he ever mention planned violence?
No, he was never violent.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, the prosecution cannot, prosecution.
Please state your name and occupation.
I'm Mary Ann Day Brown, wife of John Brown and mother.
Mrs. Brown, were you aware of how violent your husband is and that he killed many men?
He never killed anybody.
In your knowledge, do you know that your husband lashed your son?
He never lashed my sons.
Do you know what happens to slaves when they disobey their owners?
Yes, ma'am.
What do they do?
They get hurt.
In what way?
Not sure, ma'am.
Well, they get lashed. In my knowledge, your husband lashed your sons because they were disobeying, they were lying, or any wrongdoing.
Not true.
Did your husband ever notify you that you killed anyone in Harper's Ferry, Potawatomi Creek,
No,
or Mahala Doyle's?
no, because he never did that.
Did his men do it? Did he order his men to do it?
No, he never told me anything.
So you're telling me your husband never harmed anyone, or his men never harmed anyone?
Objection. Your Honor, asked and answered.
McKenna, do you want to explain why you've asked it again?
Your Honor, I'm trying to get to the point because in her statement, Mr. Brown, he said that he ordered people to kill. Even in Harper's Ferry, he ordered his men to kill. And I'm trying to get the point across to his wife that she says he did not harm anyone himself, but he may have ordered people to harm others that he did not approve of.
McKenna, spit out your go.
Can you repeat the question that was asked?
Did your husband ever notify you that he ordered anyone to kill in Potawatomi Creek, Harper's Ferry, or Mahala Doyle County? Or did he kill anyone himself?
Sustain.
The objection was.
Oh, I'm sorry. that your husband, along with his army, are murderers?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that your husband, just because he is against slavery, that he went out to harm those?
He did not.
So he did not harm anyone?
Objection, asked and answered.
That, no further question.
She could have answered the question, McKenna.
Oh, she can?
Yeah.
Do you believe that your husband, along with his army, are murderers?
No.
Has he ever, your husband, Mr. Brown, has he ever ordered anyone to kill?
Not,
What was my
question?
No further questions. You may be seated.
Defense, you may call up your next witness.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mrs. Harriet Tubman. Please state your name and occupation.
I'm Harriet Tubman. I'm an abolitionist.
How did you meet John Brown?
I was introduced to Brown in 1858. We were acquainted because we always had the same goals.
How did Brown act around you?
He was very thankful to have me. He called me General Tubman.
What was your relationship like with Brown?
Me and John always were the best of partners. We always had a special connection with slavery.
Can you tell me about your background in slavery?
I was born into slavery. It was the most miserable 19 years of my life.
Why are you an abolitionist?
I know what the torture was like, and I'll never want anyone else to go through that.
How do you feel about other abolitionists?
I feel they either have an emotional connection to slavery in their life or they're just supporters. I've always loved them.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution can now prosecute.
Ms. Tubman, stated in your witness statement, you said you suffered a head injury, correct?
Yes.
Due to your head injury, you don't remember much, right?
False memory was never one of the side effects.
Knowing John wanted to end slavery and do everything in his power to, why did you help him along the way?
Because I was once a slave myself and we've always had the same goals.
Were you a part of the Secret Six?
No.
What were you and John Brown's goals?
To end slavery.
How did you guys try and reach this goal?
His raid at Harper's Ferry.
Were you there at the raid on Harper's Ferry? Or were you?
I was giving speech to abolitionists and then I tried to come back, but I got very ill. So I had to get surgery.
So Mr. Brown informed you about what he was going to do at Harper's Ferry?
Vaguely, he just asked me for his help.
How did you help him in a way?
I helped him recruit men to help him.
Did you ever fund Mr. Brown in his raid or financial help? You stated that you weren't at the raid on Harper's Ferry. You were giving speeches to abolitionists. How do you know all this information about the raid? Or what information do you know about the raid?
I just helped him recruit men.
Do you know if there were any killings at the raid?
No.
Do you know if Brown tried to tell you that he was going to kill people or harm people? Were you invited into the Secret Six?
No.
Did you know about the Secret Six? Were you aware that John was violent?
Not really.
Did you spend much time with him to realize he was violent?
No, I was mostly helping with the Underground Railroad.
Was he involved in the Underground Railroad?
Partly. But he was busy.
In what way did he help?
Well, because he didn't want to sleep.
In what way did he help with the Underground Railroad? I know he didn't like slavery, but how did he help?
Not really remember.
Did John Brown harm anyone during your work with him? No further questions.
The defense may now call up its next witness.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mr. Franklin Sanborn.
met him at the Boston Elite Gathering.
Why did you choose to be in the Secret Service?
Chose to be in the Secret Six because me and Brown both share the same beliefs and he had a good purpose.
What was your original thoughts on John Brown's plans to raid Harper's Ferry?
I was originally not behind his plans 100%, but I liked his purpose of the plan.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Well, prosecution may now call up, may now cross-examine.
Please state your name and occupation.
Franklin Sanborn, journalist.
You say you have, how do you know of John Brown?
I met him at the Boston Elite Gathering.
You have said that you donated $17,000 to help John Brown.
Yes.
You help finance him?
Yes.
Were you a part of the Secret Six?
Yes.
Objection, asked and answered.
Which one?
Already answered it, it's fine.
What was John's purpose, do you believe, that he told you?
To end slavery,
No, for the raid on Harper's Ferry.
to start a revolt against slavery.
Did he inform you that he was to harm anyone?
No.
What are your beliefs that you share with John Brown?
That slavery should have happened.
Do you guys have the same religion?
I don't know.
Where did you get the money to help finance him?
I was a private school teacher and I sold my writings.
Why give him so much money knowing he won't be successful from the start and not being paid back?
I didn't know he wasn't going to be successful.
Why finance him when he was obviously going to hurt you?
I didn't know he was going to hurt people.
But in his raid, he said that, he told me that he said that he was going to help start a revolt, which was lead to war, and
He was going to help free slaves.
John Brown supposedly armed people during this raid. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do you think John Brown used you for your money?
Yeah.
Were you best friends?
Yes.
Knowing this is a violent act, why take part in these actions to help him?
I didn't know it was going to be a violent act.
You said he was going to revolt, which means start uprising.
Objection, asked and answered, Your Honor.
Repeat the question. It started with, do you think John Brown used you for your money? You said no. I said, knowing this is a violent act, why take part in these actions and help him?
Repeat the question.
Knowing this is a violent act, why take part in these actions and help finance him?
Objection, argumentative.
She just overruled it.
She overruled it on the grounds that it was not asked and answered. He's objecting because it's argumentative.
Can I explain? A revolt doesn't have to be violent, such as Martin Luther King. He led peaceful protests against segregation.
McKenna, do you want to explain why that question is not argumentative?
Yes, because his revolt was to start conflict with people that he was against and he had hatred against. So therefore, it wasn't a peaceful act.
Peaceful isn't, well, violent is different than like against someone else.
The raid on Harper's Ferry was violent, and I believe that it was intended by John Brown to be violent because he used violence as an answer for himself instead of peace, as he said in Martin Luther King.
Well, you were asking him if it was a revolt, and you were implying that a revolt was violent, but a revolt doesn't have to be violent, so it's not one.
He said it was
Rule, Timmy.
Did you ever
McKenna, let him answer the question.
Like, can you repeat the question again?
knowing this is a violent act, why take part in these actions?
I didn't know it was necessarily going to be violent.
You do know that if you took part in mass murder, you are essentially a murderer because you helped John Brown.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
All right, 4-minute recess. Not for you guys. Not for you guys, because I want to talk to the jury. So both sets of witnesses. We're not going, so we might as well call. Notes out, guys, because we're so. I don't know when he's gonna call. The buses aren't here, obviously. So. You said Sam. Oh, I'm so used to like go. No, okay. You're gonna call Franklin. Yeah. Timmy's not paying any attention.
Defense.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mr. Thomas Wentworth Higginson's.
Please state your name and occupation. My name is Thomas Wentworth Higginson, and I am a colonel. What was your relationship with John Brown? I was a part of the Secret Six who funded Brown. Brown and I are both Puritans, and we share the same beliefs against slavery. What did you think about his raid on Harper's Ferry? I stood to support his raid while the others from the Secret Six fled to Canada or somewhere else for safety because they feared being captured.
Did you always trust Brown's intentions?
I did trust Brown's intentions, which is why I never left his side, and I was always willing to fund his actions.
Did you ever think about planning your own raid like Brown?
In 1863, I planned my own raid to continue the revolt against slavery that Brown left, and it was in Jacksonville, Florida.
Would you regret assisting John Brown in the Harper's Ferry raid that failed?
No, never. It might have seemed like the raid failed, but it did not. John Brown left his unfinished raid for someone else to continue it, and soon possibly finish the dream of abolishing slavery.
Have you ever seen John Brown kill anyone?
No, I've only heard of his killings.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Constitution. Yeah, you may know.
Please state your name and occupation.
My name is Thomas Wentworth Higginson, and I am a colonel.
Do you have the same beliefs and religion as Mr. Brown?
Yes.
What is his religion and belief?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Can I argue? Or, okay, it's fine. This is my first question, and I asked her, what, do you share the same beliefs and religion as him? I did not ask what is the religion and beliefs. I just asked you. I said, do you share the same beliefs and religion? Not what are they?
So why are you saying ask and answer?
Because in the first question that Autumn asked, Mrs. Rosales asked, she clearly stated that she had the same beliefs.
Timmy rule.
Can you please repeat the question?
What is the beliefs and religion that you and Mr. Brown share?
I'm not sure about religion, but we share the same beliefs against slavery, that it's not right.
But you said that you share the same religion, but you don't know your religion.
I'm not sure about my religion.
How can you say you share the same religion but not know your religion and what you share?
Religion doesn't have to be the same as beliefs.
But you just agreed that you both share, but you don't know your beliefs.
Religion beliefs are different from like other beliefs.
You just said that you share the same things, but in what way did you help John Brown? Because in my documents you state you are willing to help him fund Brown.
Yes.
I said, in what way did you help him?
I was part of the Secret Six. I funded him.
You also say you know about the raid. Were you aware John was going to plan on killing anyone at the raid?
I'm not positively sure.
Being a part of the Secret Six, do you also know about Potawatomi Creek?
I can't really remember.
What did you do in the Secret Six and Underground Railroad to help John Brown?
I funded John Brown to help slaves escape and help stop slavery.
You later say you support anything and everything John did, even him killing people.
If that was the only thing to do, then yes.
You're supporting him killing others.
If
if that's the only way slavery can be stopped, in which it was.
Did you witness him killing anyone or even you killing someone?
No, I already stated in the questioning that I've only heard his killings.
Being a part of the Secret Six, did you ever kill anyone?
No.
No further questions. Defense,
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mr. John Brown.
I feel like we should stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should
Because I
stop.
feel like we're gonna get.
Okay, the defense will now call up its next witness.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call up Mr. John Brown.
You sort of told me nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Why are you against slavery?
Against slavery because when I was a young boy, I witnessed the death of a young African American child, and I was born into a family who was against slavery.
Why did you plan the events at the Harbor Ferry?
I planned the events to free enslaved people.
Why did the events at Harper's Ferry fail?
They failed because we were overpowered and they had more men than us and they surrounded us.
Where did you live before the events at Harper Ferry?
Kansas.
Why did you move to Kansas?
I moved to Kansas to be closer to all the action of Bleeding Kansas and to just because money was short there also, so we decided to move there.
Were you close with your family?
Yes, I was.
Did you share plans with them?
While I was away, I would always send letters to them and make sure they knew where I was going and what I was doing.
Why did Sammy stay home and not fight with you in Harper's Ferry?
He wanted to start a family and he didn't want to come.
How did you feel about that?
I was okay with it because I cared about him.
Did you write letters to your family?
Yes, I did.
What was the purpose of the letters?
The purpose of the letters was to make sure they knew what I was doing and where I was going and to make sure they had money and they were all good.
What was the latest letter you wrote to them?
The last letter I wrote to them was one right after the raid on Harvest Fair.
What did it say?
I told them that I did not kill anybody and it just let them know how it went and that I was going to jail.
Did you kill anyone?
No, I did not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The prosecution will now cross-examine.
Please state your name and occupation.
John Brown, abolitionist.
John Brown, did you uninvitedly barge into Southerners' homes and brutally beat and kill their families?
No.
Did your men barge into Mahala Doyle's home and take her 3 sons and husbands into the woods?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
I'm just kidding. Can we repeat the question? Did your men barge into Mahala Doyle's home and take her 3 sons and husbands?
Explain why that's not leading to you.
I'm trying to get to the point to see if he killed anyone or if Mahala Doyle said that that's what happened and I'm just trying to clarify.
Okay, no, it's the same.
Did you witness the event take place?
Where?
Mahala Doyle's home.
No.
I would like to bring evidence to the courtroom.
Yikes.
Your Honor, these are the knives that were in the woods by Mr. Brown's men who took Mahala Doyle's sons and lashed them.
Objection, Your Honor, assumed facts, not evidence.
This is court evidence.
There's nothing to say that Mr. Brown's men were even at Mahala Doyle's house.
Mahala Doyle was there and witnessed it.
Did she make a call
Wait, let Timmy roll.
Okay, what did you say?
I called an objection assumed facts, not evidence. There's no proof that Mr. Brown or his men were ever in the woods, and Mrs. Doyle, Miss Doyle, never knew what Mr. Brown or his men looked like, so there's no way to tell that it was Mr. Brown or his men.
Can I explain?
You can explain it.
Mahala Doyle stated that he came to the door and she saw his face, and it's factual evidence and history too.
Yes, Your Honor, but she also stated that she had never seen Mr. Brown on a picture. She'd only heard his name in town.
He came to her door.
She had no idea what he looked like, Your Honor.
You're assuming that Mahala Doyle, she never.
I cross-examined Mahala Doyle and asked her that exact question. I got the answer that I just told you.
Where were these knives found?
By the men, and they have fingerprints.
Okay,
It's just court evidence.
okay, wait, what was
You
the-
can take a Trevor, you can take a recess. You can tell her you want to read.
There was no question. These are the knives. I present to you the knives.
Butter knife.
I present the knives used by Mr. Brown's men who came to the door, took Mahala Doyle's three sons and one husband. Two sons.
Colin, you better
two
keep
sons.
your witnesses back here are cutting up. So, got to keep them in line.
I present court evidence.
So your job, Timmy, is to say whether that is valid evidence or invalid evidence.
Okay,
Can you what? Yeah.
Your Honor, I would like to call for a recess.
Yes, you guys can call for a recess. Yep, you guys get a recess. No. Only defense attorneys and prosecution attorneys are out of the room. Everyone else have a seat.
Wait, can we meet with Mr. Brown?
All right, Timmy.
did you bring picture evidence?
We have videos of history that Ms. Remberg has showed us, and that was a video and a documentary of his life.
Your Honor, may I explain? Well, history is kind of a concoction of many different things. And you can't really use that as a specific item. And basically what I'm saying is history is based off different perspectives, and they always vary, and it's never guaranteed which ones are right and wrong, so you can't really take that as solid evidence.
Everything that we learned about John Brown was through history. So you're saying what you learned is just out of a perspective of different people?
Yeah.
So how do you know it's true using your evidence?
We have John Brown right here.
Rule, Timmy.
Okay, well, since there's no actual evidence, I'm gonna have to say.
During the raid of Harper's Ferry, was there anyone who was injured?
On which side?
Your side or, their side, side. The side that you were going against.
The side that I was going against.
Amen. You were there on Harper's Ferry, right?
I did not order my men to kill anybody, and I didn't kill anybody myself.
So no one injured? Your attorney said you did things out of insanity. Can you define insanity?
Bonkers.
After her question.
No.
What?
I just described it.
So just crazy. So you did things out of craziness.
Well, insane would have to mean, like, something would have had to happen to make me insane.
Do you know what made you insane?
No.
So you just insane to be insane?
Well, leaving Kansas affected me very well.
Were you injured at Harper's Ferry?
Yeah.
How?
I was wounded with a stab.
Who stabbed you?
Colonel.
Did you fight back?
No. Well, I was protecting myself, but I did not injure him. He injured me.
Your Honor, are they allowed to meet?
Yes.
Well, I said after her questioning.
Wouldn't they have to call a recess in order to talk?
Or a sidebar.
Sidebar. I would like to call a sidebar.
It's just where they're going to talk on the side real quick. So you guys have less than a minute.
Wait, can I talk on the side?
Yes, you can talk on the side. Just like where they can have a quick talk. No. Huh?
Wait, so if they do that without saying like I call sidebar, then do I have to like
Yeah.
what do I say?
Cut it up. Say up. You need to just tell them to stop it.
Can I see?
Wait, what are you guys doing?
This is
No,
evidence.
no. You should have all of that stuff from this.
Alexis is holding on to it. She printed out a lot of
What if they're lying? They could be lying.
Okay.
Okay.
If that's already part of the document that they have. If you want to, you can kind of go talk to Claire about no more outbursts in the courtroom. Leading means you're trying to get the witness to say something you want them to say without asking a legitimate question.
Your name is Christian, right?
Wait, Miss Robert, were you to give evidence?
Did you say right? Or we can evidence right now.
You would have to call him back to the stand to get. All right, your minute is up. You said what? Some of the questions have been leading.
Just kidding.
Stop.
Going back to insanity, insanity can be proven if the person can determine right from wrong. Are you able to determine right from wrong?
Yeah.
Sparing someone's son is right. Sparing someone's son is right, not barging into homes is right, but according to some people, that you barged into homes, you harmed people, and you fought back.
I never did that.
Mr. Brown, so just to clarify, you never harmed anyone during your plan at all, never laid a soul on anyone's hand, never laid a hand on anybody's soul trying to kill them, or harm them in any way, ever, during your whole hatred against Southerners and slavery, ever.
Wow. Not, but you just said the plan.
No, I said during your whole, your raids, your Kansas raiding, your Potawatomi Creek, your barging into homes, you never did anything to harm anyone during your whole life of when you said you wanted to end slavery.
Ever.
ever to try and end, when you tried to end slavery, you've never harmed anyone or killed anyone. You did it all in a peaceful way, you're saying?
I did it to, some people tried to harm me. I didn't harm them.
Who else tried to harm you?
Stab. When he stabbed me,
Did you fight back?
I was protecting myself.
There was a letter sent into, from Colonel that you were gonna do it in a very peaceful way. But at the end of the raid, there was people killed and injured.
Your Honor, does Ms. Robinson have the letter with her?
No, that was a letter sent from Colonel.
Is that an objection?
Well, if evidence is not presented in court, then it cannot be used as evidence.
So,
I'm not objecting, I'm just saying that she can't say anything about evidence unless there actually is evidence in the courtroom right now.
So then you are objecting.
Oh, well, I guess I am objecting then.
Yeah, what's the?
Well, it's assumed facts, not evidence, I would assume, well, not assume, but I would think, because that would fit into, because you do not have the actual evidence with you today in court.
okay, repeat your question and explain it.
I was, okay, first question was, during your whole time period of trying to end slavery, did you ever harm anyone? And then he said he was being harmed by people during the raid. And then I said that there was something sent in from Colonel Washington saying that John Brown was going to do it in a peaceful way, but then there was people ended up dying, killed and injured in the raid.
Okay. So, I court, so I'll have to overrule that.
So how do you explain people being injured when you said it was in a peaceful way and you were non-violent?
Because they tried to hurt us.
But you came into Harper's Ferry. You came into Harper's Ferry.
So they go shooting at me?
Oh, so people came shooting at you. Did you have any guns or knives or anything to harm other people? On
Yeah.
you or your men?
My men did.
So you had nothing on you?
Me? Yeah, I did.
You just said you didn't. You just said you did not have anything on you. Now you're saying you did have something on you. Can we trust your testimony in court? No further
Objection.
questions, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative. Mr. Brown never stated that he did not have anything on him. He said that his men had something on him. On them.
She's already withdrawn her question. So are you guys done? So you're done with John Brown?
Well, John Brown said at first.
No. Are you done questioning John
Oh,
Brown?
yes, no further
Okay.
questions, John.
Okay, defense. Who would you like to call back to the stand, if anyone?
Can we call a recess?
Sure. All right, everyone go get some water. It got intense.
Can we call prosecution witnesses back up
Yeah.
to the stand? We can't. Wait, sir. They can't really trust him.
Huh?
When he said that they, or when she said that they can't trust her anymore, should I just like press that?
No, just note that she said that.
We're just gonna call up prosecution witnesses.
Yep.
The defense would like to call up Mrs. Mahala Doyle. Does the prosecution get to examine her first, or is it just?
No, you guys go. Get to examine her first. and then-
Can you please tell me the events that happened the night your family was supposedly attacked by Mr. Brownson?
like what happened when you were
Yes.
I came to my door and I saw them and they told me that they were going to take my husband and my 3 sons, but then they begged for my youngest son and he spared them. And I saw John Brown and his four sons, and the 4 sons had knives and he had a gun.
You saw Mr. John Brown there, correct?
Correct.
Had you seen Mr. Brown before you supposedly saw him at your door in a picture or magazine?
No, I have that.
Had you heard about him in town?
Yes.
So, can I call a sidebar, Your Honor?
Yeah, good, because I was
Can we
about
talk
to.
her?
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure because there's stuff deliberating. So just to clarify again, you had not seen any pictures of Mr. Brown before he supposedly came to your door?
Objection, asked and answered.
I was just clarifying, Your Honor.
Overruled. I mean, it's the same.
Sorry, I had overruled on my mind.
Had you seen pictures of John's men?
She just overruled and sustained this.
It was the first question was about John Brown,
Yes.
and now this question is about his men.
Can you repeat the question?
Had you seen pictures of Mr. Brown's men before they supposedly came to your door?
No.
Did you live in a pro-slavery town?
Yes.
Did you believe John Brown was evil
Before or
before
after?
he supposedly came to your door?
Yes.
Objection, opinion. Overruled.
Wait, before he came to your, supposedly came to your door, did you believe he was evil?
I don't.
How did you know Mr. Brown and his men were at your door? You had not seen a picture of them.
That's the man I saw at my door.
$30 seconds.
It was night, correct?
Well, like, it was like, yes.
All the candles in your house were blown out because you were sleeping, correct?
I don't know.
So there's no possible way you could have seen Mr. Brown's face clearly, correct? There's no way that you could have seen Mr. Brown's face clearly, correct?
Objection. Assumes facts, not in evidence. She never said that she was sleeping. And you're assuming that the candles were blown
I-
out.
I just asked her and she answered my question.
She asked it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I asked a different question. Anyway, yeah.
For her 30 seconds up.
I'm sorry.
Since there were men at your
Last
door,
question.
they've never been there. Had men ever come to your door?
No.
Okay, last question.
Since you were panicked, could you clearly say, and it was night, could you clearly say that you saw Mr. Brown?
Yes, because that's the man I saw at my door.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Do you guys want to cross? Okay, she's off the stand now. She ran. Okay, who do you guys want to call? Are you calling anybody later, guys? Okay.
Can we call, oh, Your Honor, can we call up, Franklin Sanford?
Order in the court.
Mr. Sanborn, can you define, previously you said that previously you stated that you thought John Brown's intention was to start a slave revolt, correct?
I don't recall.
You don't remember?
Your Honor, I'll make a call for sidebar.
30-second sidebar. No, you gotta stay up there.
What? No. Oh. We have video evidence of you saying that you said that John Brown's intention was to go to Harper's Ferry and start a slave revolt.
Can I see that?
We are recording now.
I cannot show you that evidence, but Judge, would you agree that that is admissible based on his previous testimony?
Can you please define slave insurrection? Was this, you want me to define it? Okay, slave insurrection is trying to get slaves to start an uprising, which is similar to John Brown's intention to start slave uprising.
Well, an uprising could be doesn't have to be violent.
People ended up dying.
Well,
People ended up injured.
yeah, because one of your colonels injured.
That was just John Brown, not the others. How do you explain the others being,
I wasn't there, I don't know.
but you said John Brown's intention was to start an uprising.
You've got a minute.
Well, I don't know, you just said uprising, could be peaceful uprising.
No further questions.
Do you guys want to cross? Oh, I'm sorry, Tim.
I don't want to cross-examine.
Okay. All right. Closing statements. Closing statements.
Oh, prosecution, you may now
Closing statements, everyone. Closing statements. Prosecution first.
Do we have to fill out this card? What does this do?
Why don't y'all have stuff there?
What is this? I'm so confused.
What they said.
I have stuff.
Thank you for your time and attention. The United States is a nation of laws, and every one of us must follow these laws. When these laws are broken, there are consequences. John Brown committed 3 crimes: premeditated murder, treason, and slave destruction. The defense claimed that his crimes were justified and that John Brown is insane. I will prove that John Brown is guilty, his crimes are not justified, and that he is not insane. Were John Brown's crimes justified? This would require that they were marked by a good or legitimate reason, or made righteous in the name of God. No, they weren't. John Brown killed many, including the Hollow Doyle's family. They did not own slaves and were anti-slavery, yet he murdered them. Is John Brown insane? Insanity can be proven if the person's illness interferes with their ability to determine right from wrong. John Brown is not insane. During the cross-examination of Mahala Doyle, Ms. Nielsen noted that John Brown spared Ms. Doyle's youngest son. Ms. Nielsen also said that, so this would have to mean that John Brown has emotions. If John Brown were to have emotions, this would have to mean that he would be able to determine right from wrong. The decision of saving Ms. Doyle's youngest son was right. He did many other things that were wrong. Therefore, John Brown has been proven not insane. Insurrection can be defined as the violent uprising against an authority or government. John Brown's goal for the raid was to steal the weapons, to arm slaves with the weapons. These would be used to kill their master and help others do the same. Frederick Douglass told you under oath that he and John Brown discussed the raid multiple times while they were living together. Therefore, John Brown is guilty and has been proven of the attempt to induce a slave insurrection. The defense pleaded that John Brown did not commit treason. They said this was because he was never loyal to the state of Virginia. That's not what treason is. Treason can be defined as the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to overthrow the government. John Brown did both of these things. He was disloyal to the United States of America, and he wrote up a provisional constitution for the state of Virginia, which he planned to take over after the raid. Therefore, John Brown is guilty and has been proven of treason. John Brown is being charged for premeditated murder. The defense said to Ms. Doyle, "Did you see John Brown kill anyone?" The answer was no, because she was inside comforting her youngest child. The defense slipped up. Ms. Nielsen said, "He did spare your youngest son." Spare can be defined as refrain from killing, injuring, or distressing. This would prove that John Brown saved Miss Doyle's youngest son from being killed, for he killed her two other sons and her husband. Therefore, John Brown is guilty and has been proven with premeditated murder. Just as dictators who have killed people just as dictators who have had people killed for them are guilty, so is John Brown. As the jury, it's your job to make sure that John Brown pays for his crimes. I ask that all of you imagine if you were one of the people who lost a loved one to John Brown. What would you choose? Please consider the facts of this case. Thank you for your time and attention. I rest my case.
Okay, the defense may now do the
Hello, my name is Nicholas Drexler, and I will be stating the closing statements. Everyone, I thank you for your time and cooperation here to determine whether John Brown is guilty or innocent. John Brown's actions may not be morally right to you, because most of us, killing someone is not morally right, but he didn't kill anyone. And under the law, and what John Brown is being charged for, there's simple and solid evidence to prove that he's not guilty. And like I said about morals earlier, this is a court of law, and it's under the law only. Your morals should not determine your decision. First off, John Brown's life spun out of control around the age of 20 as he faced many challenges, ranging from business failures and deaths of members of his own family. The enormous amount of pressure from these events put his mind into a state of insanity, which was proved by our witnesses. He experienced major mood swings, and because of his incorrect...
Excuse me, sorry for the interruption, Mrs. Rumber. I need your 8th period attendance.
He experienced major mood swings, and because of his incorrect perception of reality, he could not properly reason the consequences of right and wrong. Now, please do not be tripped up by Trevor's incorrect definition of insanity, as he stated that if you're insane, you cannot determine right from wrong, but if you're insane, it can be determined by many other factors. John Brown was not able to think clearly in many aspects of normal life, and because of this, he's not guilty of his crimes. How can you kill a man for actions that he did not, how can you kill a man for actions he did not fully know he was committing? Think of it like this. Say you committed a crime while blindfolded. Would it be fair for you to be charged for this? Of course not. please, please pay close attention to our other evidence that justifies his actions. Lastly, please consider proper rules of trial in your job. Just to clarify, like Mrs. Rember said earlier in the trial, jurors are supposed to assume that John Brown he is innocent until prosecution shows solid evidence that proves him guilty. And prosecution has failed to show solid evidence to prove John Brown guilty. This means that with a fair and completely unbiased jury, John Brown should be voted innocent. Just as John Brown stated, the last place he lived before he executed his raid on Harper's Road. Can I get a drink? Sorry. Lived with Kansas before he executed his raid, and this means he was loyal to the Kansas government. And treason is generally between a government or a group of people, and you cannot commit treason. You cannot commit treason against a government that you were never loyal to. John Brown is being charged for treason against the government of Virginia. He never lived in Virginia, so it is impossible for him to commit treason against. It is impossible for him to commit treason against the government of Virginia. There is simply no proper evidence that proves him guilty of this. Next, he is being charged for conspiracy to induce slaves. He's being charged for conspiracy to induce slaves. And this is clearly justified by a part of the Declaration of Independence, which is written by Thomas Jefferson, that clearly justifies violent actions. It states, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of people to alter it or abolish it and institute a new government. When it states these ends, it means man's unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And now to relate back to slavery, which was what John Brown was trying to stop, slaves have none of these except for life. And to consider, considering that hundreds of slaves are dying every year because of harsh treatment and little food and water, they barely have life. And just to justify his actions even more, you must dig a little deeper. Lots of John Brown's actions were towards making Kansas a free state. And towards making Kansas a free state. And so they didn't know whether Kansas was going to be a free state. So what they decided to do was have a vote. Everyone would vote either free or slave. And in the end, whichever side had more votes, Kansas would be that side, so slave or free. And when Kansas decided to do this vote, tons of people flocked to Kansas from all over the country to vote. Among these were many, many violent pro-slavery Missourians. Specifically, at one point, 5,000 pro-slavery Missourians, many of them armed, came and said that they would kill anyone who voted for slavery. And sadly, they did, and carried out these actions. In the end, they killed 200 anti-slavery men and burned an entire anti-slavery town. Now, just say one thing. John Brown obviously felt threatened to this. If there's people just going around murdering in your town, you're going to feel threatened. And under the self-defense law, he can respond to that with equal force, or enough force to stop them. So that just justifies it already. But to justify it even more, we'll link this back to what the government did about this. Sadly, the government really didn't do anything to apply resistance, to make the vote fair, or end the violence. And I don't know about you, but I would definitely consider this destructive. If there's towns being burned and people being killed and completely unfair vote going on, and the government's not putting any effort towards stopping that, it's being very destructive, especially to the citizens of Kansas and the Kansas government. And going back to my quote from the Declaration of Independence, it justifies violent actions against the government when the government is being destructive. And as you can see, the government was being destructive, giving John Brown full right to apply force against the government and the violence in Kansas. Last thing John Brown is being charged for is premeditated murder. And by definition, premeditated murder is the unlawful killing that is both willful and premeditated, meaning it was committed after planning or lying in wait for the victim. And like you heard from the witnesses, John Brown did not commit any murders. Back to the definition, you have to commit the murder to be guilty of this. John Brown cannot be guilty of this since he did not commit any murder. It's simply impossible. And like you heard from John Brown himself and other witnesses, he did not commit any murder, not to mention there's no solid evidence to prove that he killed anyone. None at all. Everything that the witnesses said was based off an assumption. Either they hadn't seen John Brown, they didn't know what he looked like, they didn't know it was even him. They just assumed that because of town around the talk around town. John Brown, he was not an evil man. He had no intentions of being destructive towards anything except for slavery or inequality among men. He was a peacemaker. He cared for his children and family. He had no intention of being destructive, and he wasn't either. John Brown was one of a kind. John Brown was one of a kind. Tons of people hated slavery, but John Brown was the only one dedicated enough to risk his own life to stop slavery. John Brown was not the villain, slavery was the villain. Due to criminal insanity and solid evidence, and other justifications found in the Declaration of Independence and other laws, we declare John Brown not guilty of any charges. Jurors, I ask you to be just in your decision and vote John Brown not guilty of any charges. Do the right thing and save an innocent man's life.
It is now up to the jury to decide the defendant's guilt or innocence. You must deliberate in good faith. You must consider only the evidence before you. In order to find the defendant guilty, you must determine that you consider him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. On the charge of murder, you may find him guilty of first-degree murder or second-degree murder. Your decision must be unanimous. If you are unable to reach a unanimous verdict, you must report that you have made every effort to do so and that you are hopelessly deadlocked. Please inform the bailiff when you have completed your deliberations.
You might go out into the den. I have a sheet for you.